I too would just like to respond to Chris Tremaine's comments and his analogy that if you couldn't access your own marae because you lived way away from it or something, quite frankly, I'd just go to the nearest marae. Just like if I couldn't go to the school that, if my child couldn't go to the school that I went to, I would just send them to the nearest school, which is exactly what I've done in Kaitaia. I grew up in Kawakawa, an hour's drive south, and it wouldn't be practical for me to bus my kids down to the school I went to, so I just send them to the local school. But, Mr Chair, I'd just like to address the SOP from Honourable Trevor Mallard, where he's inserting new section 35RB after new section 35R. And Part 1 of that says, any student who is facing suspension or expulsion from attendance at a school registered under section 35A, or the parents of that student may request details of the school's disciplinary procedures. And I think that is common sense. In fact, it was my impression as being a former principal that schools were meant to actually put out to their community their complaints procedure at the start. So if a parent or a student had... Oh, okay, so private schools don't. Well, I mean, that's, to me, is an inequity, something that should be remedied, that private schools should actually put out their complaints procedures to parents and the students, so that if there is a complaint, they can they know the procedure to go through, so that little complaints don't actually get blown up out of proportion. And I think that this is just an extension of that. That disciplinary procedure should also be put out to parents and to students. And something else I'd like to add to that is, I think that a student's disciplinary record should really also be put out too, because I know that dealing with misbehaviour of students as a principal, a lot of parents, we would notify them of when their child misbehaved, but they actually, when the child got to the point they were going to be stood down or suspended, they came storming in and would demand, they would say that we haven't been informed, and we would be able to pull out a record of the times that we have informed the parents by way of letters, of phone calls, of the numbers of times that their child had misbehaved. And I think that also should be, could be something that could be included in somehow, so that parents do have the procedure, or do have the complaints procedures. First of all, they do have the disciplinary procedures, and they do have records of their child's disciplinary record. Just another part too, and I note it was in, I'll just find it in a second here, and I'll just find it. Suspensions, this is 35R itself. And something I believe is unfair, again, on state schools. It says, unless the student is within a reasonable time reinstated at the school or enrolled at some other registered school, this is if they've been excluded, that the school has to arrange for the student to be enrolled at some other reasonably convenient registered school, and Part B is direct the board of a state school that is not an integrated school to enrol the student at that state school. And I just find that actually a bit unfair, in that as a state school, whenever we sadly excluded students from our school, we didn't have the facility for them actually to have the secretary direct the board of a private school to enrol them. And I think that that's really unfair, that private schools can actually dump their unwanted kids on state schools, and the state schools then have to manage them as best they can with the resourcing they've got. So I think that really that is a bit of discrimination in my mind towards state schools having to deal with these students that have been excluded or expelled from the private schools. So with that, Mr Chair, the Labour Party isn't going to support this bill, and I think again, if we go back to the reasons that I started off talking about, my personal feeling is that the five main parts of this bill actually don't address what we really need to address in education. I'd hate to see us come back for a third bill at some stage in the near future, Mr Chair.
Call Calvin Davis.
Thank you. I'd hate to come back in a few weeks or months in the new year and again be debating those issues that really aren't going to make a significant difference to raising the achievement of the critical mass of our students. Kia ora.